Hello, and thank you for watching. Just a few more comments on the Daystar controversy. I put up that video talking about Ray Comfort, David Jeremiah, Jack Hibbs. Well, I got some responses from the ministry, so I want to read those in just a moment. But concerning this whole deal, right, in that video in particular, I got some interesting responses. So people left comments. I got a few like Charles Stanley, David Jeremiah. These people are not on Daystar. And they just accused me of making it up. I'm like, no, go to the Daystar website. These people are on Daystar. So there are some people just factually incorrect. They had it wrong. Which that's going to happen. That's fine. Here's what I really don't understand. Some people actually got angry. I had one commenter say, how dare you put Charles Stanley's face on the thumbnail? He's not a heretic. David Jeremiah is not a heretic like these other guys. I'm like, I never said they were. Did you even watch the video? So apparently there are some people, and I realize if you're putting stuff on YouTube, you just have to deal with this. This is part of the, it goes with the territory, right? There are some people who they've already made up their mind. They click on a video. Before they even watch it, they're typing their comment out. And they're assuming the worst, assuming that you're saying something that you never said. So let me just say this. If the words never came out of my mouth, like don't assume that I think something that I never said. Don't assume that I believe something that I never taught. Like, unless those words come out of my mouth, because I've never called any of those people false teachers. Matter of fact, every guy on that thumbnail, Adrian Rogers, like some of these preachers I like, okay? Adrian Rogers, David Jeremiah, Ray Comfort, Jack Hibbs, right? Who's the other guy? One other. Michael Youssef. I read one of Michael Youssef's books a little while ago. It was one of the best books I've read in a long time. So, like, don't assume that, oh, I'm just against these people. What I said was, I disagree with their decision to be on Daystar. Now, this is what I don't get. That some people were, like, pretty upset that I expressed, a different opinion than you have? Like, my opinion, okay, 95% of the people who voted on the poll agreed with me. That doesn't prove we're right. But let's say you have a different opinion. Okay, that's your opinion. See, I'm not in the pulpit. I'm not saying, thus saith the Lord. This is a podcast. I'm giving my opinion. I don't think they should be on Daystar because of, the Bible teaches separation, 2 Corinthians 6. Now, I draw the line here. Somebody else might draw the line there. We can agree to disagree. I'm giving you my thoughts. But I think these guys, like Ray Comfort, if Ray Comfort is on TBN or Daystar, and then Joyce Meyer is on, an hour or two before or after him, he lends credibility by being on her show, which I just found out he was actually on her show, the Joyce Meyer show, years ago. By going on her show or by being on Daystar, David Jeremiah, Charles Stanley, and Charles Stanley agreed to be on there while he was alive. So he did make that decision. So Ray Comfort, they lend their credibility and they make it appear as though Joyce Meyer is just one good teacher, just like the rest of these guys. And that's why I don't think they should be on TBN and Daystar. But if you have a different opinion, okay, I just don't understand people who get angry about it. Like, what's the mindset? Like, if you disagree with me, I'm going to get mad at you? Like, people disagree with me all the time. People disagree with you. Like, we're allowed to disagree. Now, I'm saying this, most of my viewers, most of the people who follow my channel don't have that problem, but just for the small minority who do, just chill out, okay? And by the way, if I do disagree with David Jeremiah, let's say you love David Jeremiah, that's fine, that's great. But let's say I disagreed with him about fundraising for Paul Crouch and TBN. And I expressed my disagreement. There was apparently somebody was upset with me about some other things. Like, here's the thing. They're not God. David Jeremiah is not God. Joni Lamb is certainly not God. I'm allowed to disagree with Joni Lamb. I am allowed to disagree with Ray Comfort. Ray Comfort is not God, okay? So if somebody is like, how dare you disagree with this famous pastor? This famous guy, he's on TV. How dare you disagree with him? Who do you think you are? That seems like pastor worship almost, right? That's almost like idolatry, that you're not allowed to disagree with this famous pastor. Like if God said it, yes, we need to accept what God said, and we do. But we can disagree on these things. So I just wanted to share that. And one last thing before I read these responses. Yes, I did call Daystar heretical and Kenneth Copeland heretical and Joni Lamb and Paul Kraut. Yes, I did call them heretical. And apparently there's a couple people that are upset with me. I don't know if they assume, okay, Mike called Daystar heretical. I watch Daystar, therefore Mike is calling me a heretic. I never said that. Don't assume that I think something that I never said. Unless the words came out of my mouth, don't assume that's what I'm saying. Because it's not. I know several people who are dependable Christians. They watch Daystar. They only watch like 2 or 3 programs on Daystar. And the programs they watch are not heretical at all. And they don't watch the other stuff. And I would never pass judgment on them. So, I just think some people need to calm down. But the thing about calling Daystar in general or Joni Lamb heretical, here's the thing. Every pastor I know would say the same thing. Like all of the pastors I know, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 who are charismatic or Pentecostal, nothing against charismatics, okay? I'm just saying the charismatic pastors I know of, they're the only pastors I know who defend this stuff. But all the other pastors, Baptist pastors, independent churches, every pastor I know would say the same thing. Yes, Kenneth Copeland is false teacher. Daystar, the stuff is heretical. So what I'm saying is pretty much in lockstep with the Reformed circles, independent Baptist circles, conservative evangelical circles. So I'm not saying anything radical, not by any means. So I just don't understand the 5% of people, tiny percentage, maybe I shouldn't even worry about it, but I just really don't understand why some of these people just, lose their marbles over these things. Okay, let's get into I think they assume the worst, and I'm just saying, please don't assume the worst. Okay. Let's read the responses. So I reached out to all of these ministries: David Jeremiah, Jack Hibbs, Adrian Rogers, Charles Stanley, Michael Youssef. I got responses from both David Jeremiah's ministry and Jack Hibbs. So let me read the responses. First, David Jeremiah, and I'm 99% sure this didn't actually come from David Jeremiah, but he's telling his team, what to say, what to put out there. So this is what David Jeremiah said from his ministry. We are watching this situation surrounding Daystar and encourage you to join us in praying for everyone involved with the allegations. It is our prayer that the truth come to light and for protection for the child impacted by these allegations. So in other words, totally sidestepping the issue of the heretical associations, just saying, as far as the child, the recent allegations, just pray about it. I did get a lot of responses like that, people saying, don't talk about this, don't address the false teaching, ignore all of it, just pray. Just pray for these people. I have to be honest with you. My interpretation of that is, don't just ignore it all, just pray about it. In other words, don't do anything about it. So I think that is going against Titus 1:9, where it is a pastor's job to refute those who contradict. I believe personally that since these teachers are on Daystar, they have a duty to let their congregation, their viewers know that these other people on Daystar, that if you watch me on Daystar, you're probably going to see some of this other stuff. I think these teachers have a duty to refute those who contradict, to let their people know, hey, Kenneth Copeland, this Joni Lamb, these prophecies, this stuff is not biblical. So the just pray about it response, I disagree with it. Okay. So again, not making any disparaging comments, but I do disagree. But David Jeremiah is going to remain on Daystar. That's the response from him. Next, Jack Hibbs. He says, thank you for contacting us. We will use any and all platforms possible to present the Word of God to as many people as we can. I'm just saying, did Paul do that? What if the Judaizers invited Paul to one of their false churches to preach? Would Paul just, oh, hey, thanks, Judaizer. Okay, they've given me this chance to preach to you, and let me just preach the truth. No, I don't think Paul would do that. He wouldn't associate with them, and if he did show up there, he would confront them. So that's why I disagree with all this. But Jack Hibbs says that he will remain on Daystar. He said, it is in that very same spirit that we also broadcast on godless programming such as CBS, NBC, Fox, and Fox Business Channel. We will trust God to deal with any and all situations regarding those at Daystar. So let God deal with the heretics. We're not going to say or do anything about it. Again, that's my interpretation. But, he seems to be acknowledging that, yeah, the networks we're on, they are godless. I mean, he did say that. He says, we here will continue to proclaim God's truth. Okay, so we trust God to deal with any and all situations regarding those at Daystar. We here will continue to proclaim God's truth. Please pray for the many millions of people who look to Daystar around the world to receive their spiritual nourishment during this time. Okay, guys, I just have to say it. Praying is not enough. We need to actually do something about it. People should be getting their spiritual nourishment from their local church. So if they're instead looking to Daystar to get fed, we need to pray for them, yes, but we also need to warn them about the wolves. I'll close with what Jesus said in John chapter 10. I'm not directing this at anyone specific, but it's an important point that a pastor, a shepherd, if he is going to be faithful, he needs to protect the sheep. How does he do that? By fighting off the wolves. Jesus said in John chapter 10, starting in verse 11, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand, or the hireling, is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. Then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it, and the man runs away because he is a hireling and cares nothing for the sheep. So again, Jesus is basically saying a pastor or a shepherd who refuses to call out the wolves and warn the sheep and fight off the wolves, he's not a pastor, he's not a shepherd, he's a hireling. One last thought. The false teachers of Christ's day, who are they? They were the scribes and the Pharisees. Did Jesus warn the people about them? You bet he did. Did Jesus preach against the Pharisees? Did Jesus call out the scribes in public? Yes, and so did his apostles. Jesus was willing to lay down his life, and they killed him for it. So every pastor, every shepherd, to be faithful, we need to be willing to do the same. Being a pastor is not about winning a popularity contest. Matter of fact, Jesus said, woe unto you when all men speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. It's not about a popularity contest. It's about protecting the flock, speaking up, standing up for what's right. And again, if someone is looking to Daystar or TBN for their spiritual nourishment, yes, we should pray for them, but we have to warn them. We have to speak up. Thanks for listening. And until next time, may the Lord be with you. Have a great day.